Okay, we're live. Hi, folks. This is Mary Ellen, and Larry is busy working again today on some important strategy behind the scenes, and we don't have him with us today. So I'm going to do something different today from what we normally do, and Larry has asked me to keep the show going when he's not here, but I don't have to be the one in charge of everything. So you've seen Vendy's name in the chat, I'm sure, in recent days, and so she came on the conference call last night and mentioned that she had transcribed the whole afternoon hearing with Mueller that the Intelligence Committee had. And I asked her to come on with me today and read to you, if in case you missed it, the very, very scary, shocking statement that Adam Schiff made at the very end. So, Rindy, thanks for being here, and take it away.
Yes, ma'am. So, in his closing statement, I found it very disturbing. Adam Schiff asked Mr. Mueller, so we must all act ethically, and in case someone doesn't, can they be extorted if you lie about something, or can you be blackmailed? Is that possible? Mr. Mueller answered, yes. Then Mr. Schiff said, will he being President Trump, build the Trump Tower in Moscow? And Mr. Mueller refused to answer that question. Then Adam Schiff began his closing statement by asking if President Trump was actually sound enough of mind to be president. He is driven by greed. His winning the election was only decided by a handful of people and just a few states. We know that he has obstructed justice. The Justice Department will move forward when he leaves office. Impeachment is protecting our American citizens. We have to find out the answers that Mr. Mueller could not provide for us today. We must harden our elections, make changes to our elections, and weed out the people who are being disloyal. Then I wrote in my own words, this absolutely sounds like the introduction by certain specific words of socialism. Then he just simply thanked everyone for being there and banged the gavel, and it was concluded. But to say, to put a seed of doubt in the minds of Americans, if this president was actually of sound mind, saying that he's been driven by greed, there's only a handful of people in states that voted for him. That's why he got elected. It was just very disturbing. That's what the closing statement said. Ms. Mary Ellen.
Yeah, so folks, it was obvious that they were trying to set up, and I better back away here. They were trying to set up the impeachment. They still intend to try and impeach the president, and they're trying this hearing. Yes, the two hearings yesterday. Larry has told us multiple times that they will impeach President Trump, and that this hearing was nothing more than using Mueller to give them the ammo they needed to continue the investigation, to continue the charade, and they will impeach. And so that's what we saw. And if you wanted proof, it really is that closing statement of Adam Schiff yesterday afternoon. Now, Larry said, remember last Friday when I asked him, I said, Adam Schiff's been awfully quiet lately. And Larry said he's going to get a whole lot more quiet very soon, whatever that means. And then, of course, over the weekend, Schiff was putting his name out, being interviewed on newscasts again to get his name, get his face back out there before he did the hearing yesterday, led the hearing yesterday. Uh, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, we know we are dealing with demonically possessed evil doers in the leadership of our country. And thank God for people like Larry helping to hold feet to the fire. Thank God for our president and his concern and love for this country. And, you know, Larry has told us that Epstein is being kept in jail to make him flip, and they're wanting him to flip on President Trump. And President Trump, his name, his contact information, of course, is in Epstein's contacts. But my understanding is there are no videos, but they are trying to create some. I understand that would make sense with the computer-generated information that is out there. And so if they come out with something, we need to be very, very skeptical that it's not just computer generated and not real. And as for, you know, with his being found in the cell, and supposedly I heard a dirty cop supposedly tried to strangle him. Now, is that real, or is somebody being set up to take the fall and take the blame for it, which has happened in the past too? Was he trying to hang himself? Well, I haven't heard anything about any rope being found or anything like that. So it's hard to know what's really going on. Larry, okay, Larry, I just got a text from Larry. I'm going to pull it up. You can tell everybody Larry had a secret about the hearings, that Mueller is suffering. Oh, we wondered about this. Mueller is suffering from early stages of dementia and no one knew it.
Wow.
The person who sent Larry some money last weekend that helped him get through the weekend last weekend, Larry just also asked, he said, I'm not allowed to mention, they particularly asked that the amount not be mentioned. But if there's any way you can help again, Larry really does need help. He is setting up something. Because of what happened yesterday, because of what Larry knew ahead of time, because of what Larry was able to say in the way of even what he told us could be expected. There are people who listen to this program and hear what Larry has to say, and there is ways for people to get information, for Larry to get information to places that we have no access. You know, the work that Larry is able to pull off is pretty incredible. And so he continues to work. It doesn't matter if he's home. It doesn't matter if he's at the hospital. It doesn't matter if he's in his car. If he sneaks out of the hospital and goes in the bathroom. If he sneaks out of the hospital and goes in his car to make a call. He has ways of doing things, and he doesn't keep a specific schedule so that, you know, when he's moving here and there, he does it at different times. So when people are watching him, wishing to do him harm, he has an erratic schedule, so it's a little harder to gauge, you know, when they can come after him and where to come after him. But they're frequently trying again to take him out, and don't think that they don't. And the fact that he survives, folks, is an answer to prayer, and also a testimony to Larry's skill. So I called Rindy this morning and told her about something that had happened to me. So I'm going to segue to talking about civic duty. You know, Larry is an incredible example of someone who cares very deeply about this country and cares about our freedom and is concerned about maintaining our freedoms for our children and grandchildren and their posterity should life on earth last long enough. Inspired by that, I decided to take exercise my civil duty this morning. So I made a phone call, and I want to tell you about it. Um, I had seen on Facebook a few days ago a photograph that somebody had posted of a card and paper shop, Peppery, in New York. And I'm not sure what city it was in, but I did get the phone number. So I'm going to give you guys the phone number now and tell you what I did. So the number is 607-319-0356. And I'll tell you that again at the end of my story. This photograph showed pictures of cards saying, "Dump Trump, Trump is a racist." And I mean, there were probably half a dozen different greeting cards that just had lettering, block lettering, black on white cards. But it was a whole rack of these very disrespectful cards. And I had tried to call them a few days ago and couldn't get through. I got a busy signal. I got a phone, you know, it would ring and ring and ring and no answer. And then I would get a busy signal and then it would ring and ring and ring, no answer. Somebody else said that they were trying and they figured that the store was closed. And so I took the post, I had shared the post on Facebook. I took it back down. So I still had the phone number in my phone. So I tried this morning again. A very nice young man answered the phone. And I asked him, I said, when Obama was president, did you have similar cards disrespecting Obama like you have with Trump right now? And he says, yes, we had a few. I mean, he has a lot now. So we had a few, but they didn't sell well in this area. So it's obviously a very liberal area. And I said, well, I want to talk about how disrespectful these cards are. The lack of respect for the authority of the office of president is just appalling. I said, it is wrong. It is morally wrong to be that disrespectful of the office of the president. And he says, well, you know, the office of the president is different from who Trump is. And I said, Trump is the president. So if you disrespect him, you're disrespecting the office. And I said, I don't mean to be a Bible thumper, but I would like to tell you what the Bible says. And I said, I am concerned for you because I said, you are going to incur a curse from God on your store if you're doing this. Well, that got his attention. And he said, well, I'm Catholic. And, you know, he didn't like what the Catholic Church was doing. And he brought up, you know, he said, our whole country is based on rebellion against King George. And I said, well, since you mentioned being Catholic, I said, let me read to you. He said, you know, I didn't know anything about a curse. I said, well, let me read to you. And so I'm going to grab my Bible right now. And I said, Romans 13 talks about respect for authority. I said, let me read. Do you mind if I read it to you? So Romans 13 says, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. So he's repeated it, which is extra important. Consequently, this is verse 2. He who rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. And I said, you know, so that's what God says. I said, now, I'm really concerned about what we're seeing in society these days, the lack of respect for authority. I said, mothers need to be teaching their children to respect the father and his position of authority over the family. And he says, well, what about if he's an abusive man? I said, you have to respect the office and you have to teach respect. There is a way to deal with rebellion. There's a way to deal with somebody who's doing something wrong. I said, that's also discussed in the Bible. I said, I think it's Matthew 6 or 7. I didn't go and look it up. But, the way to deal with somebody who's doing something wrong is you go to them one-on-one and talk to them about it. If they will not listen to you and do things correctly, then you get 2 or 3 witnesses to go back with you and talk to them about what they're doing wrong. You do that before you ever do it publicly. I said, with these cards, you are publicly disrespecting the office of the president. I said, we have the freedom in this country to make phone calls, to send emails, to tweet, to send text messages, to send letters in the mail. I said, that is the appropriate way to deal with what our president is doing. Make your voice known. This business of selling cards that are filled with disrespect is morally wrong. So I said, I am exercising my civic duty in calling you. And we talked a little more, and I said, maybe, just maybe, this call had nothing to do with President Trump and disrespect for him. I said, maybe I was meant to call you to encourage you, being a Catholic, to read your Bible and get to know what God says about things. And he said, thank you for being respectful or being polite and civil in this call. He said, I disagree with you, but thank you. He said, I've gotten lots of phone calls and they have been so hostile. He said, but you haven't been that way. And so I think because of my attitude, he was willing to consider what I had to say. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I was making a call, which we all have the right and responsibility, frankly, to do when we see evil being done. We should call to task our leaders. We should call to task business people. I'm greatly concerned about, for example, the election and what Google is planning to do with their computer knowledge and working with Microsoft to totally take over through election fraud. What happens in 2020? And I'm hoping to have a chance to talk to Larry about, the things that I learned. I know Trump has a committee that is working on election fraud and voter fraud. They are dealing with things, and things are going to change. But we need to make sure that they know enough about, what we hear to make sure that they probably heard it, but we need to double check. So I just wanted to say, be brave. And when you see somebody doing something wrong, say something. Another thing I saw on Facebook this morning was a picture of a large group of teenage boys and girls, young men and women, with huge water pistols. There was a white policeman on the street corner who got out of his car, who probably checking out why these kids were congregating like this. Maybe somebody had reported it. I don't know. They didn't show that. All they showed was this policeman being blasted with all these water pistols. And I hope all that was water. Somebody even came up to the car beside him and threw a gallon of water on him. Where's the respect? Now, we've got policemen that are doing awful things. I agree with that. And they're being caught on video with some of the things that are being done. The policemen are human beings first. And when you get emotional, it is a fact that the chemistry of your emotions are going to flood your brain. And the frontal cortex of your brain, where you think, right behind your forehead, is going to shut down. The chemicals are going to shut down your ability to think. So when that happens, it takes great discipline and training to learn to override that happening so you can maintain the ability to think clearly and not just react emotionally. And we have to recognize that in our police force. They need to learn how to control their emotions so that they continue to think clearly. Um, so we have a response in the chat. Yes, our police are being drenched with water pistols and buckets. It is, I agree, it is shameful. So here is somebody who is saying that I lost my country to Russia. I live in a communist socialist country, and of course it's horrible, but I don't live with hate. So folks, we need to be paying attention and confronting evil. There will be a conference call in about 40 minutes. I would like, if there's anybody here, I would like if there's anybody here who has a story of what they have done in doing their civic duty to speak up against evil, whether you go and protest at an abortion clinic, or you make calls to congressmen. We used to have a woman on who's from Venezuela that was on the conference call last year, and she told us frequently about some of the calls that she would make, holding her legislators' feet to the fire to do what's right. So I'm trying to just look here. Yeah, we certainly want the people to be locked up. Now, when justice comes, folks, Larry has said, do not expect to happen to these leaders what they're doing to Epstein. They will not be in a regular prison with regular population. It is a security risk. And so they will either most likely be under house arrest, or they will be in a lockup setting like we saw Martha Stewart have, where they're basically in a country club. No, it won't be Gitmo. That is not for the Americans. So, Rindy, you got anything else to add?
I just have my copy of the Constitution here, and I would just like to share a quote that Benjamin Franklin said.
Before you do that, Rindy, let me just say one thing. Larry needs financial help today because he's got a very important phone call that he needs to make, and he needs to get his medication so that he can think clearly, so that he can be pain-free, so that he can be able to do the work that he's doing. So if there's any way you can use PayPal, his account number is nicholslive@aol.com. You can go to the website, nicholslive.com, and the link, there's a link to his PayPal. There's his address to mail cash. He cannot cash a check. He cannot cash a money order. If you want to send a check, then you need to use that phone number, 240-499-6729. Send a text message. I will help you work out an alternative way. If you're going to send several $100s and want to use Western Union, we can do that, but you need to contact me so that we can figure out how to do it. You don't just send it to Larry at Western Union. That doesn't work because he can't go over there and pick it up. We have to have somebody do it for him. So there are other ways to donate. The best, because he gets it instantly, is PayPal, nicholslive@aol.com. Thank you very much. And I'm going to give the phone number again for that stationery store that was selling these very disrespectful Trump cards. If you would like to call them and let your voice be known how you were offended at this, the phone number is 607-319-0556. But folks, if you're going to call, be polite. All right, Randy, thank you for reading what Benjamin Franklin said. Go for it.
Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become more corrupt and vicious, they have more need for more masters. And that just spoke to me because we see that happening today. today with more of these masters, quote unquote, wanting to bring in socialism. And I just thought one of our founding fathers' quotes maybe will be inspiring to someone.
Yeah, you read something that I need to comment on this one first. The fact that the elite intend to create so much havoc in this country that we will beg for control and beg basically for the control that socialism brings. They want to create chaos so that we will beg for that security will become so important that we will give up our freedom for the sake of security and clamping down and restrictions. And that's a total loss of freedom. We do not want martial law because our Constitution goes out the window when martial law comes. So you read something to me that I think, wasn't there something that George Washington had said that was at the beginning?
Yes. He said, if to please the people we offer what we ourselves disapprove, how can we afterwards defend our work? Let us raise the standard to which the wise and honest can repair. The event is in the hands of God. This was George Washington speaking to the Constitutional Convention delegates. Wow, what a statement.
Yeah. Speaking of civil duty, I appreciate so much what our founding fathers did and what the kind of incredible insight they had in looking forward to what could have happened under democracy to destroy the country. And that's why they did not give us a democracy, they gave us a constitutional republic. And when somebody asked Benjamin Franklin, what they had done, what kind of government they had created, and he said, a republic, ma'am, if you can keep it. Because with a democracy, if you look up Alexander Tytler, Tytler, he talks about what democracy does. With democracy, all you need is a majority, which basically is 50.1%, recognizing that they can vote to themselves largesse, and your country will devolve automatically into socialism. Democracy creates socialism. And that's what our leaders keep saying, we have a democracy, we have a democracy. No, we do not. We were intended to have a republic. It is the only form of government. Constitutional republic we have is the only form of government that actually works. Everything else ends up with a dictator. And in closing, I'm going to just read a couple more verses. This is from, speaking of civil duty, this is from Proverbs 24, verses 11 and 12. Rescue those being led away to death. Hold back those staggering towards slaughter. If you say, but we knew nothing about it, does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not he who guards your life know it? Will he not repay each person according to what he has done? Folks, it says, rescue those being led away to death. Doesn't he know what you're doing and what you're not doing? That to me is just blatantly talking about, a need to be involved in the pro-life, anti-abortion movement. Getting the reaction I did today in talking respectfully, I appreciate the people who protest at abortion clinics with standing there quietly and praying. I appreciate the people who yell out so that they can be heard. Can we adopt your baby? Please let us adopt your baby. Trying to save the lives. I personally have a hard time with being real aggressive On the other hand, the people who are very aggressive say, hey, we're trying to stop a murder here. So I'm not going to say anything negative about people who really feel called to be very aggressive in their demonstration, because they are trying to stop death and stop murder. But folks, please do something to help.
We can use force multiplication like Larry taught us as well.
And Carol, glad to see that you're back. Yes, force multiplication, right. I want to address Carol in the chat here. Carol, thank you for what you said yesterday, that if we knew more about what Larry was doing, it would be easier for people to give because they would know what's going on. I want to say something about that further. I agree with you completely. It would be a whole lot easier if we could know what Larry is doing, but we can't, because it would put his life in danger if people knew. They have tried so many times to kill him and take him out and Arkansas him, and I don't want to cause any harm to him by sharing anything I know, which is very, very, very little, next to nothing. And he doesn't share because he has two things. He's got to think about trying to stay alive, and he's got to think about his security clearance that he has, and he can't violate that. So he wishes he could tell us what he's doing, because he knows that would help to raise the money, but he can't. It's not safe for him, and it's not safe for those that he's working with. So we have to respect that, and we have to realize that there's a lot that he does that we are not allowed to know about. But given his 40, 50 years, well, it won't be 50 years, but well, it could be almost 50 years of experience at war and politics, there's a lot that he knows, so he can work behind the scenes and orchestrate and do a lot. Just like even last Friday saying the ship is going to get more quiet very soon. I don't know. I have no idea what that means, but it means something, and it means something significant. Not a threat. It's more of a promise, because he knows something is being orchestrated. And I even asked, is there a possibility that he would be run out of office? And he said, it's possible. Probable? I don't know. Possible. We have to realize there's a whole lot more, both for good and for evil, going on behind the scenes than we will ever know. And so we stay in prayer that good things will be stronger and be able to overturn the evil, because if this evil continues, man, we can't do anything but incur God's judgment. So Carol, thank you for your blessing on Larry. I agree, we are all mad about what the high officials in our government are doing, the crimes they're involved in. And so I just wanted to give a couple of examples of using our civic duty. And the force multiplication that Rindy mentioned, that is where a whole bunch of us make calls and make multiple calls, so that one person who makes 10 calls in a week, that gets counted as 10 calls, not just one call. So we will be doing that when the time comes for calling key people. Larry will tell us who to call. We will have a script. When the impeachment starts, we will get involved. And Larry said yesterday that after what happened yesterday with Mueller, there is a possibility that we can even stop them from starting the impeachment process. So he's gonna be very much on top of this. It's something that he warned us in July 3 years ago was coming, even before Trump got the nomination. He said, if they nominate Trump, if he does become the candidate, if he does become the president, they will try to impeach him. He warned us of that right from the very beginning. So Larry's very aware of what's going on, and I appreciate so much what he's doing, that I am here with you guys, and I thank you for being here. That's why we do what we do, and that's why we are carrying on and trying to keep this channel alive for when Larry is well enough to come back and join us. But if there's anything you can do to help him today, thank you to those who did already. We've got a couple people here that I see who have, and I thank you. I'm aware of a couple people who donated, and we just need to get him all the way to the $400 he needs. Folks, do what you can. Our country is worth the sacrifice. And again, his PayPal is nicholslive@aol.com. And if anybody needs another alternative way to donate, you can go to the website, nicholslive.com, or you can text 240-499-6729. And if you'd like to come on and share a story to the YouTube audience, or if you have something that you have done that you'd like to share to a smaller audience, you can join us in half an hour on the conference call number. It's listed in the description underneath. Thanks, folks, and God bless you. We will be back tomorrow. And goodbye. Bye.